Usually, a typical cell in your body has, I don't know, maybe a few hundred tiny engines powering it.
Right, yeah.
But a human egg cell, it has roughly 100,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 100,000. It is literally the single most energy-hungry cell in the entire human body.
That is just, it's a staggering number when you really think about it.
Right. And yet, when we talk about fertility, we spend, endless hours stressing over tracking apps and calendar dates.
Yeah, and obscure acronyms.
Exactly. But we spend almost zero time talking about how to actually power that specific cell.
Well, and it is a massive oversight because when you step into the world of fertility and reproductive health, whether you're, trying to conceive naturally or preparing for a medical procedure like IVF,
Yeah,
you are just hit with an absolute avalanche of information.
totally.
I mean, you're dealing with intense emotional stakes, and then suddenly you're expected to become an overnight expert in endocrinology.
Right. Cellular biology, pharmacology.
Ex-
And honestly, it can feel like you were just drowning in conflicting advice, which is exactly why we are doing this deep dive today.
Yeah, I'm really glad we're tackling this.
Me too. Because our mission today is basically to act as your shortcut to being well-informed.
Right.
We are pulling from a really fascinating stack of clinical literature anchored by this comprehensive article called A Natural Path to Fertility.
It's a great piece.
It really is. So we're going to clear away all that confusing brush and look at an integrative, whole-body approach to reproductive wellness.
And I think the core philosophy running through all of our source material today is just crucial to understand right up front.
Okay, let's lay it out.
So we are looking at therapies, specifically acupuncture, low-level light therapy, targeted supplements, and custom herbal formulas.
Yeah.
And these are all backed by peer-reviewed research. But, and this is the key, they are not designed to replace conventional reproductive medicine.
Right, they're not some rogue alternative.
Exactly. They are designed to work alongside standard care. They prepare your body at a microscopic cellular level so that it is in the best possible state to respond to those conventional treatments.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because taking a quote-unquote whole-body approach sounds fantastic in a brochure.
Oh, sure. It's a great buzzword.
Right. But we need to ground this in physical biology.
Absolutely.
Because before you can expect an embryo to grow, you have to physically prepare the environment. You have to, establish the biological supply lines.
That's a great way to put it.
So let's look at acupuncture first.
Yeah.
What is actually happening in the body when those needles go in?
Well, at its most fundamental level, acupuncture involves placing extremely thin, sterile, single-use needles into really specific points on the body.
Okay.
Now, traditional Chinese medicine mapped these pathways over 2,000 years ago.
Wow, 2000.
Yeah, but modern neurological research has actually mapped those exact same points today.
What, really?
Yeah, and they found that they correlate directly to our nervous system, major blood vessels, and these dense bundles of connective tissue.
That is wild. And just to clarify for anyone listening who absolutely hates needles,
Oh yeah, a lot of people do.
the sources note this is nothing like getting a flu shot.
Not at all.
Patients usually describe a mild tingle, maybe a sense of heaviness, or honestly, they feel nothing at all.
Right, the sessions only last about 25 to 45 minutes, and, many people just fall asleep.
They actually fall asleep.
They do, yeah, because it is deeply relaxing.
Okay.
But underneath that relaxation, the body is undergoing these really significant physiological shifts.
On what?
Well, the first major effect for fertility is blood flow.
Okay.
When those fine needles are inserted, it signals the nervous system to relax the smooth muscle tissue that surrounds your blood vessels.
Wait, smooth muscle. Can you break that down a bit?
Sure, so think of your blood vessels like garden hoses.
Okay, I can picture that.
And the smooth muscle is basically a hand gripping the hose. When you are stressed, that hand squeezes tight, restricting the flow. Acupuncture prompts the release of natural vasodilators, which essentially forces that hand to just let go.
Okay, so the grip loosens.
Exactly. The uterine arteries dilate, and suddenly you have a massive increase in blood rushing directly to the uterus and the ovaries.
And why is that surge of blood so critical for someone going through, say, an IVF cycle?
Because blood is what carries the oxygen and vital nutrients.
Right, the supply trucks.
Yes, you are flooding the reproductive organs with the raw materials they desperately need to build a thicker, richer, more receptive uterine lining.
And the lining is everything, right?
It is. The clinical literature consistently points to a thick uterine lining as one of the strongest predictors of a successful embryo implantation.
Okay, so you are basically widening the highway to get the supply trucks exactly where they need to go.
Exactly.
But, you mentioned stress a moment ago.
I did, yeah.
Which is pretty much the elephant in the room for anyone dealing with fertility.
I 100%.
The sources claim acupuncture lowers stress. But I have to ask the question that is literally on everyone's mind.
Lay it on me.
How does walking into a clinic, laying on a table, and getting poked with dozens of needles physically make you less stressed?
What's fascinating here is the actual neurological mechanism behind it.
Yeah.
We basically have two main gears in our nervous system. The sympathetic state, which is your classic fight or flight,
Right.
and the parasympathetic state, which is rest and digest.
Okay, I've heard of those.
Now, navigating fertility issues, it keeps you chronically locked in fight or flight.
Oh, absolutely. The anxiety is constant.
Right, so your body is just flooded with cortisol, the stress hormone, and cortisol is incredibly disruptive.
In what way?
It acts like static on a radio dial. It interferes with the delicate hormonal communication between your brain and your ovaries.
Oh, wow. So the brain is trying to tell the ovaries to, mature an egg,
Yes,
but the cortisol is literally drowning out the signal.
exactly. It's just noise. But the insertion of the acupuncture needles physically forces the nervous system to shift gears.
Really? Just the
Yeah.
needles do that?
Yes, it pulls you out of fight or flight and drops you right into the parasympathetic rest and digest state.
That's amazing.
And when that happens, the cortisol levels plummet. And once that static is cleared away, your reproductive hormones, like follicle-stimulating hormone and estrogen,
Right.
they can actually do their jobs and communicate clearly.
That makes a ton of sense. So if someone listening wants to utilize this, what does the timeline actually look like? Are we talking about one quick session, or is this a long-term commitment?
Well, it depends entirely on the goal.
Okay.
If you are trying to conceive naturally, clinics generally recommend weekly treatments over 3 to 4 menstrual cycles.
Okay, so a few months.
Right, to give that hormonal feedback loop time to actually regulate.
Makes sense.
But if you are in the middle of an IVF cycle, it becomes much more strategic. You might have sessions leading up to the egg retrieval, and then very specifically, a treatment right before and right after the actual embryo transfer.
Oh, to maximize that uterine blood flow right at the critical moment.
Exactly, and to keep the uterus from cramping. And by the way, men are included in this too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the studies show acupuncture can significantly improve sperm count and swimming ability.
Wow, okay. All right, so acupuncture is widening the blood vessels and calming the nervous system.
Right.
But if we think about this logically, simply delivering more blood to an egg cell doesn't really fix the problem if the cell itself is just too old or exhausted to use those nutrients.
That is exactly the issue.
Which brings us to the second pillar of this whole approach.
Yeah.
How do we actually give the cells the energy to create life?
We do that by targeting the cellular engines directly.
Okay.
And we use low-level light therapy for that. In the clinical literature, you will see this referred to as photobiomodulation.
Hold on. Photobiomodulation.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
That sounds a bit like a sci-fi weapon, to be honest. Are clinics using surgical lasers on people?
No, not at all. It utilizes very specific wavelengths of red and near-infrared light.
Okay.
It's usually delivered through these flexible pads or panels placed over the lower abdomen or the testicles for men.
And it doesn't burn.
No, it feels like resting quietly under a warm sunbeam. There's no cutting, no burning, no tissue damage whatsoever.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because to understand why a warm light matters, we have to go back to that staggering fact from the very beginning of the deep dive.
The mitochondria.
Yes. A single human egg contains 100,000 mitochondria.
It is a phenomenal biological reality.
I mean, how does that compare to a normal cell?
Well, a standard cell in your skin or your muscle might have, I don't know, a few hundred to a couple of thousand mitochondria.
Right.
But the human egg has 200 times more. They are literally the most energy-demanding cells we possess.
Because they have to make a person.
Exactly. They have the monumental task of dividing and growing into an entirely new human being. That takes massive energy.
But the catch is, as we age, those mitochondria start to wear down.
They do, unfortunately.
It reminds me of, a luxury sports car.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. Like you could have a pristine body, the leather seats are flawless, the tires are brand new.
Sure.
But if the battery under the hood is ancient and dying, that car isn't going to start.
It's going nowhere.
Exactly. The egg needs a charged battery. But I am still trying to wrap my head around the mechanism here.
Okay.
How does shining a red light on your stomach actually get inside your body to charge the battery of an egg?
That is the most critical question. It all comes down to a very specific photobiological reaction.
Okay, walk me through it.
So the near-infrared light is able to penetrate the skin and tissue safely.
Right.
And inside the mitochondria of your cells, there's a specific light-absorbing enzyme called cytochrome SA oxidase.
Cytochrome, well, let's pause there and lose the medical jargon for a second.
Sure enough.
What is that enzyme actually doing?
Think of that enzyme as a tiny solar panel sitting inside the cell's engine.
Oh, okay. A solar panel.
Yeah. When the red light hits that enzyme, it absorbs the photons.
Like a solar panel absorbing sunlight.
Exactly. And this triggers a chemical reaction that literally wakes the mitochondria up, prompting them to massively increase their production of ATP.
And ATP is the biological fuel, right? Adenosine triphosphate.
Yes, look at you with the science terms.
I try.
But yes, it is the energy currency of the cell. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the sheer amount of ATP an egg can produce largely dictates whether an embryo will have the stamina to successfully divide, grow, and implant in the uterus.
So more ATP equals a better chance of survival.
Exactly. The research in our sources demonstrates that by using this specific light therapy to boost that ATP, you see a reduction in cellular inflammation.
Okay.
You see enhanced tissue repair and ultimately better quality eggs and more motile sperm.
So we have the highway cleared with acupuncture, and the cellular batteries are charged with light therapy.
Yes.
But even with a clear road and plenty of energy, your body still needs physical building blocks. Like you need the raw materials to actually construct healthy eggs and sperm.
You can't build a house out of nothing.
Exactly. Which brings us to the third pillar, targeted supplements.
And I really want to emphasize the word targeted here.
Why is that distinction so important?
Because the clinical literature makes a very sharp distinction between a carefully calibrated clinical protocol and just, grabbing a generic multivitamin off a drugstore shelf.
Right, because a targeted approach looks at your unique biology, like your age, your specific hormone panels, whether you have PCOS or endometriosis.
Exactly. You need the right bricks for your specific house.
Well, the sources list a lot of supplements. But instead of just rattling off a massive list for everyone to fall asleep to, let's deep dive into how a few of the heaviest hitters actually work inside the body.
Sounds good. Let's start with coenzyme Q10.
Yeah, CoQ10, I hear about this one all the time.
Well, CoQ10, particularly in its active ubiquinol form, is just a perfect follow-up to our conversation about light therapy.
Oh, how so?
Because CoQ10 is a naturally occurring antioxidant that is fundamentally required for mitochondrial energy production.
Wait, so it also helps the battery?
Exactly. And as we age, our natural levels of it plummet.
Okay.
So by supplementing it, particularly for women over 35, you are directly feeding those 100,000 mitochondria the exact compound they need to generate that ATP fuel we just talked about.
Wow, so they really do work together.
They absolutely do.
Okay, then there are inositols, specifically myo-inositol and D-chiroinositol.
Yes, a very important one.
The text highlights these as game changers for individuals dealing with polycystic ovary syndrome or PCOS.
Huge game changers.
I see people talking about inositol all the time online, but how does it actually improve fertility, like mechanically?
It comes down to blood sugar and insulin. Many people with PCOS struggle with insulin resistance. Their bodies pump out way too much insulin, and those constant insulin spikes basically suffocate the ovaries.
Suffocate them?
Yeah, it prevents them from maturing and releasing an egg properly.
Oh, wow.
But inositols, they act almost like a biological bouncer at the cellular door.
A bouncer? I like that.
Yeah, they improve the cell's sensitivity to insulin, which keeps blood sugar stable. And when the insulin levels drop, the ovaries can finally breathe and natural ovulation can resume.
That is a brilliant way to explain it. Okay, I want to touch on one more that comes up a lot in the sources, the B vitamins. But specifically for people who carry the MTHFR gene variant.
This is such an important topic.
I know it's super popular right now, so let's slow down and decode this for a second. Why is standard over-the-counter folic acid a bad idea for someone with this gene variant?
It is a great question. So folic acid is synthetic.
Okay.
For your body to actually use it to support an embryo, it has to convert it into an active form called methylfolate.
Right. It has to process it.
Yes. But if you have the MTHFR gene variant, which, by the way, a huge percentage of the population does.
Really?
Yeah. Your body lacks the enzyme required to make that conversion.
So taking standard folic acid is basically like having a locked door and a blank key that hasn't been cut yet. It's totally useless.
Exactly. It just builds up in the bloodstream doing nothing.
Yeah.
But by taking a targeted supplement of methylated folate, you are providing the body with a key that is already cut.
Oh, so it just works immediately.
Right. It bypasses the genetic roadblock completely, crosses directly into the cells, and supports healthy cell division and early pregnancy development.
Okay, so what does this all mean?
Wow.
Because if I am listening to this and I am hearing about how amazing CoQ10, inositols, and methylated vitamins are,
Right.
not to mention, vitamin D and omega-3s, my first instinct is to just open Amazon, buy the highest dosages of literally everything on the list, and take them all at once.
Oh, please don't do that.
Let me play devil's advocate, though.
Yeah.
Why is that a terrible idea? Isn't more always better when it comes to vitamins?
That is the exact trap so many people fall into, and it is exactly why clinical guidance is mandatory here.
Okay.
More is absolutely not better in human biology. Supplements interact with your unique biochemistry and with any prescription medications you might be taking.
Give me an example.
Let's look at a prime example from the text regarding antioxidants.
Okay, we are always told antioxidants are the ultimate good guys. They fight aging.
Right. They do, but there is a massive biological nuance here.
Okay.
The physical act of an egg breaking out of an ovarian follicle during ovulation, it actually requires a highly localized, necessary spike in inflammation.
Wait, inflammation is required?
Yes, it is a vital biological spark. If you are taking massive, uncalibrated handfuls of high-dose antioxidants,
Yeah.
they can act like a fire blanket.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you can actually extinguish that necessary inflammatory spark and accidentally prevent yourself from ovulating entirely.
Wow. So by trying to be extra healthy, you actually shut down the exact system you were trying to support.
Precisely. That is why a targeted plan managed by a professional who actually understands your lab work is just infinitely safer and more effective.
Which provides a perfect bridge to the fourth and final pillar.
Yes, the herbs.
Because if supplements are the isolated individual bricks we are using to construct a healthy environment,
Right.
then custom Chinese herbal formulas are like the architectural software coordinating how everything comes together based on your changing daily needs.
I really like that software analogy.
Thanks.
Because Chinese herbal medicine utilizes this vast pharmacopoeia of hundreds of plants, roots, and minerals. But the real magic is in the customization. You aren't just buying a single generic herb off a shelf.
Right. A custom formula is a highly specific combination of maybe 8 to 15 different ingredients.
Exactly.
And it is incredibly dynamic. Like I said, it's like a custom software patch that a programmer is constantly updating to match your operating system in real time.
Yes, and the practitioner writes that quote-unquote code based on a real-time assessment of your pulse, your tongue, your specific symptoms, and your modern lab work.
That's amazing.
And because your biology is dynamic, the formula is dynamic.
Give me an example of how it shifts.
Sure. So, for example, a board-certified herbalist might give a patient one specific botanical formula for the first 2 weeks of their cycle.
Okay.
And the sole objective of that first formula is to encourage the growth of the follicle and build up the uterine lining.
But the moment ovulation happens, the objective changes completely.
Completely.
Yeah.
The body now needs to produce progesterone and prepare for an embryo to implant. So the herbalist switches the patient to a completely different second formula.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one designed specifically to warm the uterus and support implantation. It shifts exactly as you shift.
That is so smart.
The sources detail how these dynamic formulas are used to treat complex conditions too, like regulating absent cycles, reducing the crippling pain of endometriosis, or even calming an overactive immune system that might be rejecting an embryo.
But as a listener, I have to step in here for a second.
Sure.
Because whenever I hear about taking complex herbal mixtures, especially if a patient is also taking powerful synthetic IVF stimulation medications.
Right, the interaction risk.
Exactly, an alarm bell goes off. People are naturally cautious about this stuff.
Yeah.
How do we know these formulas are actually safe and that they won't severely interact with a pharmaceutical protocol?
This raises an important question, and it is one that integrative fertility clinics do not take lightly at all.
I would hope not.
The safety of this medicine relies entirely on two non-negotiable pillars: clinical expertise and rigorous sourcing.
Okay, let's talk about the expertise first.
You absolutely must work with a board-certified herbalist. This is a practitioner specifically trained to meticulously cross-reference every single plant compound against your current prescription medications.
Oh, so they know exactly what will clash.
Yes, they know exactly which herbs to remove if you are on a specific IVF protocol. They aren't guessing.
That's reassuring. And what about the herbs themselves? We've all seen the news stories about contaminated supplements.
Right, heavy metals and all that. That is the second pillar, quality control.
Totally.
Integrative clinics only source raw materials from specialized clinical-grade suppliers.
Not just Amazon.
Definitely not Amazon. These suppliers conduct exhaustive third-party testing on every single batch to guarantee they are completely free of heavy metals, pesticides, and adulterants.
Okay.
You just cannot compromise on sourcing. But the literature is very clear here. When prescribed by an expert and sourced flawlessly, these formulas have a documented, remarkable record of safety.
So if we pull all the way back and look at the big picture of what the source material is telling us today,
Yeah, let's summarize.
we are really looking at a highly coordinated biological symphony here.
Absolutely.
Acupuncture steps in as the physical intervention,
Yeah.
widening the blood vessels and calming the stress response.
Right.
Then light therapy is the energetic intervention,
Yeah.
waking up the mitochondria to produce the ATP fuel required for life.
Exactly.
Targeted supplements are the nutritional intervention, providing the exact research-backed raw materials your cells need.
Yep.
And custom herbal formulas are the botanical intervention, dynamically adjusting to your cycle day by day.
And when you bring them all together, you stop treating isolated symptoms and you start treating the entire reproductive ecosystem.
The whole body.
Right. You are simultaneously supporting the egg, the sperm, the uterine lining, the immune system, and your mental stress.
Which is huge.
It is. The peer-reviewed evidence is compelling.
Yeah.
Adding these therapies to standard fertility care can meaningfully improve your clinical outcomes.
Which means, for you listening, whether you are currently prepping for a highly technical medical procedure like an embryo transfer, or you are at home just trying to conceive naturally,
Yeah.
you're not powerless in this process.
Not at all.
You do not have to just cross your fingers, blindly follow the acronyms, and hope for the best. This deep dive proves that cutting-edge cellular science and ancient natural therapies can work hand in hand to actually empower your body. You can actively change the environment.
It is a profoundly empowering shift in perspective.
It really is.
And as we conclude our analysis today, I want to leave you with a thought that stretches far beyond just reproductive health.
Oh, okay.
We spent a lot of time today exploring cellular energy.
We did, yeah. The mitochondria.
Right. If targeted light, specific plant compounds, and the precise placement of fine needles can fundamentally wake up our mitochondria and alter the energy production of an aging egg cell,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, how might these same integrative therapies eventually reshape our approach to cellular aging, disease prevention, and overall longevity in the rest of the human body?
Wow. That is a truly fascinating question to ponder. Because when you finally clear away the confusing brush and understand how your body actually works at a microscopic level, you aren't just wandering through the forest anymore. You finally have a map that makes sense.